let's go back to our geometry node. And just below our dot magic, I'll add a .io node. Under the top network parameter, let's drag and drop this top network. The top node we want to retrieve is flip object 1. And again, if you don't remember the name of the node, you can always dive back to your top network and copy and paste the flip object name. So press Ctrl C, go back to your geometry node, and on your .io, paste the name of that node. And the only thing that we're interested in is on the particles. So under the preset, choose particles. And now the node will be fetching the geometry field. Okay, so let me cache a few frames into memory. Okay, so I think we have enough frames. So what I want to show you is how to add some color to these particles. And in this case, I will base the color on the speed of the particles. So remember, by default, when we create any kind of particle simulation, we will have a velocity attribute. So if we take a look at the geometry spreadsheet and look for the V attributes, here we will have 3 different float values representing this vector. So what I'm going to do is a very simple script to convert this vector into a single float attribute called speed. So let's add a point wrangler, connect it to our .io, and let's call this node set speed, change its color, and let's type the following script. F at speed. So again, we will create a floating point attribute called speed is equal to length, open parentheses, and then type v at v, which is a velocity attribute, close parentheses, and semicolon. Then type Control Enter. So now if we take a look at our geometry spreadsheet, we will have this speed attribute that is basically the length of the velocity vector. So of course, the faster the particle is moving, the greater its speed value will be. In this case, we have values ranging from 0 to about 12.5. So now let's connect a color node just below our point wrangler. Let's call this node color by speed. Then let's change the color type to ramp from attribute. And here the attribute that we're looking for is speed, the one that we just created. Now remember, the speed values were ranging from 0 to 12.5. So let's remap this range to 12.5. And now we will have a very nice gradient going from white to black. So to make this effect a little bit more interesting, I would rather change the colors. So I will use a very dark red for the larger speed values, and probably use a very light red, almost a pink, for the slower moving particles. Probably we can add a second color here and use a medium red. And I think this can work. So let me create a flipbook, and I will come back when the flipbook is finished. So here we have the result of our simulation. As you can see, it's looking very cool, and still there's a lot of things that we can do to change the shape of the effect. At this point, it will be up to you if you want to change the color, the turbulence, add other pop forces, or even change the shape of the emitter or the paths. The possibilities are endless. So before we move on, don't forget to cache your results to disk.